Now I can kick your ass.
Yeah,
Fellow king.
In either some or all of the divisions have basically three titles. A super championship, a regular championship, and an interim, and the interim being the mandatory contender because, as I've been told, about for an eliminator to be a mandatory contender simply won't generate enough income compared to calling something an interim, which in English means temporary or impermanent champion. And if that's what you're asking the organization to do, and I'm not saying you shouldn't, that's a major step for it to go back to that. So that's what I'm asking.
Okay, first of all, I'm as a promoter, I have used the WBA and interims personally. And I agree and I feel some shame. But whoever I have used, he make good money, I have his own house and his own car, paying full. However, what I'm saying now, we cannot abuse the system, but when it's unification, in the case of super champion and champion, not interim in that case. But if you have unified champion, and you have a super champion, you have a regular, like in this case, in 168. But when you have other ones that is champions, or doesn't fight for so many years, so then it's supposed to be an interim or to put a regular automatic.
So Sampson, are you talking about this situation? I'll get the facts wrong, but where you have, let's say you have someone who has all four titles.
That's correct.
And let's say the organizations agree and adhere to the agreement to do a rotation. That by the time you get to the first person in
it's 4 years.
It's 2, 3, 4
years. And we finish what every boxer wants to be a champion. And remember,
so just wait, I see Robert nodding his head. Is that what you folks are talking about in part? Someone's actually agreeing with you behind you, so I just acknowledge that.
When they have all four belts, by the time he gets his shot, if he's number one in the BA, by the time he gets the shots, 3 years have passed.
At least 3 years. And that's what I'm saying, that to have an interim, because he deserved it. The problem before, it was we abused the system, and you allowed to do it. So we're guilty in both sides. Now is the time to do right for the boxers, especially in unification. And you have several unifications. In the case of the super middleweight, you have a champion, so you don't need to put an interim because you have a champion. But whoever is not a super champion is supposed to be a regular or an interim. We understand each other? And beside that, it's crazy, but it's true. PBC loved the interim. PBC loved the elimination bout and mandatories. Even though if you do it twice or 3 times, this is what the people like to see on TV.
I would like to compliment the WBA on the fact that after so much criticism from Dan Rayfield and from so many writers that made so many derogatory comments about the WBA because of having so many titles, interim titles, super champions. Finally, Gilbertico and the Championships Committee decided to eliminate this. And I think it's been a great step, and I think it's brought a lot of respect to the WBA and to boxing, because people nowadays, I mean, John Wirt, who represents Michael Zarafa, he doesn't even know half the champions today. There's so many champions that, boxing is not like it used to be. So I think that the WBA has made some great steps forward in eliminating all of these interim titles and super champions. There's no confusion. There's a world champion in the lightweights, welterweights, everyone knows there's one champion in this organization. And I think to go back to start doing interim titles, we're just going back to creating the same mess that was cleaned up by the WBA just recently. And in our case, we have zero interest after him turning the IBF title down.
Everyone knows Talk to me, champ. Uh-oh, we're going to set up a ring. Let's go. Who's going to ref? Champ's going to ref?
Don't feed into it. He's trying to take it back. He's trying to take it back. You already see what he got.
Even now I can kick your ass.
Fellow
King.
Sampson,
Even now I can kick your ass.
Fellow
King.
Give it back to him. Don't give it back to him.
Someone left card from the hotel room. So like how many years?
Talk to me.
More excited to see the old guys go at it, right?
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
right.
I need to go get my popcorn ready.
You gotta get your popcorn ready.
Look, it took a lot for me not to stand up and take over this room right now, but I'm glad you did. No, I'm telling you, he know how I feel about him. That's why he walked away like he walked. Hold up, he know how I feel about him. We had our dates. So everything you said up there, Sampson, don't let him trying to get the last word in, because you got the last word in. And guess what? And everybody that was listening, whether they believe it or not, they left with that last sound punch. It ain't the first thing that people remember. It's the last thing that people remember. And that was the last thing. Don't let them put, because he's going to be waiting for you out there. Don't feed into that. Look, we work with this. Intellect over emotions. Intellect over emotions.
You're done.